Hello, hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Happy, oh my gosh, happy Wednesday, you guys. It's Wednesday evening, and as always, I'm excited to get with you today. Welcome to Mission Driven, and I am stoked to gather up for this masterclass, and just really excited to get with you. So much to talk about today as we dive into this class, this master class called Mission Driven. I have to tell you, everything that I do is based in a divine download. Everything that I do is based in some kind of connection to my divine team, to my guidance, to my higher self, to my inner being, you name it. And last weekend, I'm always asking myself, what's next? What's next, universe? What's next, guidance? And I really do, like in allowing myself to be led, I said, I'm going to step completely out of my head for a minute, stop trying to figure out the things, step into my flow. And before I even got there, I heard these two words, mission driven. And to be completely honest, I mean, I've taught lots of classes to light workers. You guys know I have a program called Luminary. Um, Over the last couple years, we've done Channeling the Light, we've done Be the Light and Prosper, Answering the Call, Be the Change. Like we've done all of these different master classes around like showing up to the purpose that we have in this lifetime. And I just want to be really clear. Like, as I say the words light worker, light leader, change agent, luminary, visionary, like, it doesn't matter to me per se what the profession looks like or what you do for a living. Although today you're going to hear me talk a lot about the doing it for a living side because it's a big part of helping light leaders to get out of their own way. But I just want to be clear on the truth that when you are stepping into this beautiful mission driven light work, however that looks for you, what's most important is the activation. What's most important is the commitment. What's most important is stepping into the space. Like you were born with codes. You were born with codes. And for us to step into that space really, really powerfully starts a ripple effect that you couldn't even imagine was on the other side of the action you took or the inspiration you stood in or the allowing that you allowed or the creation that you created. You couldn't imagine what was on the other side of that. And so if you are called, you guys come on and say hey. I see if you are finding me in Tricklin. Say hey over here. If you've been called to this, I want you to get in this space of make no mistake, I have been nudged. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story and this work that has been my life a little bit tonight. But I want you to get really, really clear because I can playfully say and say to you guys, are you getting woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning or 1:11 or 3:33? I can say, have you been nudged? Step into your power, step into your mission, step into your purpose. And but I really want you to touch the importance of this. Like if you're with me tonight, or if you're with me on replay, I have lots of you that registered for this, so I'm excited to connect. If you feel even a little bit nudged, if you get that, the word I used to say was niggle, right? Like you get that little niggle that says you are meant for something more. Start paying attention because tonight I really, really, really want to call you to something much bigger than you can actually even see. And here's the thing, like there's this gap always. I'm gonna speak for myself for a second, but there's this gap always between where I am and where I want to be. As a human being, because I'm a massive grower, but as a light leader too. And because I've been in this thing for so long. I have things to say, not only about how incredibly important it is for you to answer that call and to believe and trust and feel into this. You will never be nudged by accident. You will never be nudged by accident. And when you start like living your life that way, much less creating your light work or mission that way, things start to change. There's things on the other side of living this mission. There's things on the other side of living this mission that we couldn't have made up, that you couldn't have known, that you um, open yourself to receive. Does that mean the impact in the world? Yes. Does that mean the fulfillment? Yes. Does that mean alignment? Yes. Does that mean growth is who I am becoming as a human being? Yes. Because light leadership is like a personal growth, personal development program in a can. As I've always said, and I've always shared that with you guys, like my business is a personal development program in a can. And it's after 30 years almost, still a personal development program in a can for me. There is not a day that goes by that I am not evolving myself and my light leadership. There's not a day that goes by. And so I want to really encourage you to step into the place where I am never nudged by accident and start to trust these nudges and start to trust this unfolding path like nothing you've ever trusted before. I say this, and this is kind of one of my Loriisms, one of my mantras, but the path lights up when you do one glowing stone at a time. And whether you're on the seeker path or you're on the seeker light worker path or the seeker light leader path, whatever that looks like for you, to me, it's the same. Like if you're a seeker, you're a light leader, it's just different parts of the timeline for your life, right? That is my belief. Like you're showing up and you're lighting something up somewhere along the way. But there's not anything more important than allowing yourself to be called and answering that call. Because through my lens, we have a mission. And it's not just to be mission driven. And I have enough drive in me, but I'm going to share what that means. I have enough drive in me to, to go a long time, right? But to be like called and answer that call truthfully in trust, like life is a trust walk, like to really seriously start to answer that is there's personal development in it. There is personal development in it. So tonight I want to dive into what it means to be mission driven a bit. And I want to, and we're already going there. And I want to share with you some things, like the things I wish I would have known when I started out, and some things that I wish I would have known as I have journeyed through. Things ebb and flow a bit, right? As they will. But I've worked with a lot of light workers in my in my years. And like I said, it doesn't matter your profession. You can be like, let me just go down, like you can be a professor and be a light leader. You can be a psychologist and be a light leader. You can be um, uh, a seamstress. You can be, there's all kinds of professions, right? You can be a massage therapist. You can be a dentist. You can be anything that you want to be. To be the light leader is to be transformed by your work and continue to be awakened by the work that you do and the impact that you make in the world. So yes, I love the idea if you're like, I want to be a coach one day, or I want to be your spiritual coach one day, or I want to um, teach people how to be more magnetic, right? That's like what I do. I want to teach people to step into their worthiness, or I want to hold space for women, or I want to hold space for human beings who want to transform their lives like that. Coaching has become an absolute industry, bigger than I could have ever, ever imagined. Ever, 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 ever imagined coaching has. And here's what's really crazy. There's a lot of coaches, but there's not enough light workers. That's the truth. And I see it. And, there's a part of me that's a little bit sad to say it, but there's a lot of people who are into the coaching, but they're not necessarily into the light leadership. And so they're not really into that part. And, to each their own, right? So the coaching industry is like got a lot of different variances. When you come under this roof and you're hanging out with Lori Opal, we're talking about a real specific kind of light leadership, a real specific kind of invitation to a field of transformation and a field of, oh, metamorphosis, right? Metamorphosis, like that true transformation. We're talking about, uh, I want to say, I literally want to say right now, sacred geometry through the expression of our emotion, through our alignment. We're talking about divine law. We're talking about bringing that to our work. And you might say, well, how do I bring the law of one to my work? Or how do I bring the law of attraction to my work? I'm a um, artist. I'm an author. And I'm going to tell you, it absolutely lives there because if you have a mission to make the world just a bit better than it is right now and to have your have the world be impacted by the light that you are called to light leadership. So a little tiny story. In 96 or so, I graduated with a master's degree in counseling. So I was like raring and ready to go start my therapy career and to show up in the world as a counselor, all the things. And my mom and dad and my brother and a few others came for my graduation for my master's degree. And we were walking through the parking lot from the auditorium. We were walking through the parking lot, and I kid you not, I thought to myself, I'm just getting started. This is literally just this is like chapter one. And I knew with everything that I had in that moment, and I'll tell you why, because it's hilarious how I remember this moment. But I knew with everything that I had this degree and I was gonna cut my teeth on, you know, in my job. I was gonna learn some things, and I did. And it was amazing, and I have much to be grateful for. But I also knew this was just the beginning, and I knew that I was heading into something much more holistic, much more integrative, much more spiritual. And there was barely a name for coach, life coach back then. That it didn't exist. It just did not exist. And so I somehow had that flash of a moment. I'll tell you why I remember it because the minute I thought it, my brother was goofing around and he ran and he jumped the fence and he literally caught his shorts on the fence and like ripped his shorts because he was being silly. And so this moment was like marked by my brother Josh ripping his shorts on the fence as I was going, this is just the beginning. I could feel the rise almost, I could feel the rise. And of course, then he jumps over the fence and rips his shorts. It was so funny. So fast forward, I found the industry of coaching. I was like, holy smokes, there's this thing called life coach. And I dove into that training. My mother and I actually dove into that training together. And I spent the next couple years merging therapy and life coaching and even defining what coaching was. So my mentor was Thomas Leonard. He's actually considered the father of coaching back in the day. And he birthed an industry that is what you see today. So I spent a whole lot of time coaching people privately, a whole lot of time, years and years, coaching people privately. I got on the internet and I thought that I had to put in time on private coaching before I'd be good enough. And we're going to get to some things to do group coach or to teach I thought that I had to private coach for a really long time. That was my story before I actually was deemed worthy to teach to a group. Isn't that crazy? So finally, I decided to start teaching, and it was just really, really crazy. Butterfly experiment came along. 7 years after that, the M100 came along. A few years after that, the School of Conscious Creation started to download into my system like no other. And I don't even know how many stacks and how many sequences were birthed through me through that time, but it was significant. And so it's been a journey. It really has been a journey that I would describe as absolutely mission driven. 100%. But here's the thing. There are some things that hold us back as we go off into these waters. And there are some things that there's two big things that hold us back as light leaders. But we really have to tap into the feeling of I've been nudged. I'm going to allow myself to be nudged right now towards this mission, even though I can't see what's ahead. So I want you to realize that in 1997, Josh ripped his shorts on the fence while I was thinking there's got to be something bigger than this, and I think so, and I'm going. Go before you know. And then I my first stack was born in 2007. It was when Ava was born, and it was like the butterfly experiment. I couldn't even figure out at the time why it worked. Now I know. Now I know. And it is like some of the most beautiful, sacred becomings that I could have ever been blessed. But a light worker in her head or in his head can't predict the future far enough to be able to take the leaps. But when you allow yourself to access the drive, the desire, the awe, when you allow yourself to access possibility, when you allow yourself to access this potential, like there is this seed called me, and I am literally going to allow myself to be planted, and I'm going to let the drive of my mission, of my purpose, start to lead me. That's what self-led is. You let your authentic light start to lead you. It calls you. And my light called me. It called me day after day, year after year. And now, 29 years later, this has been my life, this light work. And yes, I was a therapist and a social worker while I built my practice and while I built my foundation and while I built myself. And you might say, I don't have 30 years, right? Well, I blazed a trail for you because no one even knew what coaching was back then. And today, the energy is moving much quicker. We are on the cusp of ascension and awakening like no other time. We have more coaches than light workers, and we need more light workers. And so if you raise your hand, I guess, who's all in the house? Let me know and raise your hand if you felt really called. Yes, yes. Because light leaders blaze an absolute trail with their light when they step into it. Blaze an absolute trail, you guys. So I attract a lot of people who are on a light worker mission and always have. Always have. And it looks so different for so many of you. Like if you are actually stepping into like spiritual coach, great. But if you're just stepping into the mission of your light leadership within the profession that you do, amazing. There is nobody that says you have to do it a certain way. I'm here to say, how beautiful do we want it to look? So the two things that I really want to share with you is that the big blocks for light leaders, they say, I want to step into a different mission, or I want to be in my light work. And they have two scarcity consciousnesses, two big blocks, money block and seen, heard, worthy wounds. Two of them. If there's anything that's going to come along and rob you of being immersed in the light work that you truly want to be in, the first one is your money beliefs. And I can't tell you how many times I have said to so many of the light workers that I have been mentoring over the years, it is our divine responsibility to heal our prosperity beliefs, heal our scarcity consciousness. It is our divine responsibility because as light workers, scarcity is what needs healing. Separation is what needs healing. Not enoughness is what needs healing. And if we aren't working on our own, honest to God, I'm just going to say it, money beliefs, it is the thing. People say, I want to start my light work, but I can't because I'm afraid I won't make enough money. I want to start my light work, but I'm afraid I won't be able to fill in the blank. I want to start my light work, but I don't think light workers should make money. I don't think I could charge what I'm worth. I don't think. I'm telling you, I have done, remember the prosperity challenge, right? For the love of money challenge, abundance challenge. What else have we done? Um, prosperous life challenge. We've done a lot of challenges, you guys. But oh God, this gets so sticky. So one of the things, like you know that this is in part true. It's always these two things. I don't step in because if light workers didn't have money concerns, we'd all be doing the light work. If light workers didn't have seen, heard, worthy wounds, we'd all be doing the light work. And I'm not saying there aren't other blocks that we need to heal, but those are the two big ones. I see them over and over and over again. And I am not here to say that it's wrong. I am here to say they need to be acknowledged. They need to be recognized. There they are, rearing their little noses up into my business again. I get nudged in the middle of the night, but then my brain, my mind says, I can't do that because I have to pay this bill and I'll never make money doing my thing. Or I'll never make money because it's too woo woo. And the truth is, it's just not true at all. It's your divine responsibility. It is your responsibility as light workers. Because here's the thing, if you don't clear up your own money beliefs and you don't clear up your own seen, heard, worthy wounds, at least getting up over them, having your awareness about them, making commitment to solve those pieces, you can't be there for the people that you're meant to be working with, whatever that is. When you bring your own stuff to the table, you bring your own stuff to the table. And then you've got stuck energy and stuck energy. So we're called to our own healing. But I am going to share with you the very first thing that you don't have to be healed to do the work. A lot of people will say, I'm not healed yet. I can't do the work. I'm not healed yet. I can't do the work. I'm not healed yet. I can't do the work. Guess what? As you do the work, you heal. It's crazy, just like that. Every time I teach a new thing, I step into a new version of myself and I heal a little bit more. Sometimes I have downloads and epiphanies so profound that I am elevated to a frequency that I have not reached before because I was called to teach it. The nudges are real, you guys. I heal because I teach. I heal because I light lead. So you don't need to not step in. You need to make the commitment to heal as you go because you're an unfolding, like a beautiful flower. We unfold. I did spend 10 years doing private coaching, trying to be better, trying to be whatever I thought before I could teach. And I'll tell you, I was born to teach. I didn't know the power of my voice until I actually stepped into it. I felt like I had to be at another level of expertise, of healing, of knowledge, you name it, before I did. And so I literally didn't start that for a long time. So so I want you to be open to like stepping into your mission before your healing is even done, whatever that looks like to you. All right. Light leaders awaken because they bring people with them and heal themselves as they go. So, which brings me to number two, things that I wish I would have learned. Don't feel like you have to either or. Like, you don't have to quit your day job while you put your toe in the water and lean in. Some of you are already leaned in. You know, some of you are doing the thing and you're shining the light and you're just looking to up level and you're looking to refine and play bigger. Some of you are looking to open the door and start. Some of you are looking for it. Either way, we're activating codes. We're activating your light worker blueprint. But I want you to say, do I need to actually quit my job to lean in? We get into like all or nothing thinking on this journey for some reason, but I know why. It's because we want to stay safe. So we say, well, I can't do the light work. I can't get into my light leadership because I have to pay the bills. Another money thing. I have this job. And I'm saying you can completely lean in and ignite your light and keep your day job. And it gets to be an unfolding as well. Like I didn't quit my day job for a little while I had coaching clients, while I was figuring out who I was in the world, what my message was. I didn't quit my day job. I said, I think I'm going to fund the dream and have my cake and eat it too. And I think I'm going to be like, and I'm not saying to make your light work a hobby. That doesn't need to be it either, but it doesn't need to be where you have to place yourself in such scarcity. I feel really strongly about this, you guys. I coached somebody who was in the mortgage industry years and years ago, and he was extremely infused with mission. And to say mission driven is a bit of an understatement, like a lot of drive, right? A lot of drive. And one day he called me up and said, I quit. So he quit and he started his venture. And it was amazing because he was at the time interviewing people like Neil Donald Walsh. I mean, he was making huge impact, but he also was vibrating at a lot of scarcity consciousness over paying the bills and jumping too fast. And there is a right time, but you can breathe easy because you get to have your cake and eat it too as a light worker. If your light work is your profession, then this is just an unfolding journey for you. You know, the leaping for entrepreneurs where they're like, I want to go and I want to make all the money in this business. I'm going to say, like, let's take an aligned path for that because you don't need to create more scarcity because it's going to infuse more struggle. But I want you just to breathe easy when it comes to that because the money issue is like, oh my God, I think I need to quit my job. And you don't. You fund the dream and you have an unfolding and you let the universe from a place of divine overflow, from a place of prosperity, deliver what's next for you, what's meant for you. You know, like I will say again and again and again, like I did not have a business plan. I had a divine plan. I have a divine blueprint. I have a divine mission and I have a divine team. And for me, it's not like I never said I don't need a funnel, right? I need someone to give me their email address so they can see what I do for this in this work. Doesn't mean I don't need that or I don't want that. It's not the only way. But it does mean that this mission and this drive and this soul's purpose is extremely, extremely led. I'm not teaching mission driven because I made it up in my mind. I heard it. And for all of you that are nudged to hear this story today and be inspired by this story and give yourself, and I hope you're going to get some permission today to step out into your light. So let's talk a little bit about this money belief. Speaking of Neil Donald Walsh, oh my God. Not too long ago, I saw a post of his and he was offering a class. And, there were probably hundreds of comments on that thread. And, he's the author of Conversations with God. And he was offering a paid class, and people were going nuts about him offering a paid class, saying spiritual coaches, spiritual teachers, light workers should not be charging for their service. And so there was this war in the comments. We have this notion in the healing community or in the spiritual community, and I hope it's shifting, but there's this notion that if you give stuff away for free, you are good. And there's this notion that if you charge for your work, you're deemed in the crowd of doing it for the money. And so it's really distorted. It is really distorted. It's like if you're free, you're like the good witch. If you're not free, you're like the bad witch. And I'm going to say that the industry and the conditioning around this in the spiritual community is absolutely, it is at such a disservice to light workers, to light leaders, and to their clients. And so, I'm here to say, like, it is our responsibility to get straight and to get in alignment with the transformational value of the work or the transformational value of the light that you have. And it is very interesting to me that somewhere in the world that there got planted a belief that light workers should suffer and not be fully sourced and still pour light from themselves, yet struggle, yet give freely. And I give a lot for free. I actually love to give a lot for free. But if you're going to be a light worker, you've got to check in with your own self. And if you're going to be a light leader who charges for their services, it's really important that you start to work out some of these details around what you think about light leaders who exchange money for their gift. And what I'm going to tell you is that you have permission to be sourced financially for your light work, for your light leadership. For some reason, we've got it really backwards. And what I wish someone would have told me when I started this journey, and probably along the way, is permission to be sourced. Granted, give that to yourself right now. And pay no attention to the commentary, pay no attention to the naysayers of the world, because unfortunately, I did pay some attention to the naysayers of the world, and it slowed down my progress, and it made me feel like a bad witch, right? Instead of the good witch with an amazing toolbox and an amazing system and sequence and teachings that can transform your life and very quickly. So I allowed some conditioning to touch me in that way, and I literally had to say, I'm gonna interrupt that pattern. I'm getting way up over that because that is my work. Prosperity is my birthright. Do you know it's the C in CUSP? The CUSP equation ends in P, obviously, and it says this: prosperity is my birthright and my result. So we are not here to not be sourced in our work, in our light work, no matter what. No matter what. So if your gift is light work, and you have code and you know it, and you were born with a blueprint, and you know that you are supposed to, on some level, aid, help, assist, show up to the ascension as we know it right now, as this awakening happens. I mean, there has been an awakening in the last 30 years. You're looking at someone who was on the first page of Google for law of attraction, who said, oh my God, the secret's going to come out. I'm going to lose my rankings. And I did, right? But it was a good thing. It was a beautiful thing because there was an unfolding that happened. So this is scarcity consciousness work. And this is where light workers oftentimes get hung up. You have a right to be sourced. It's your birthright. And when you step into your power as a light leader, it's your result. You have to keep tending to your own ascension. You have to keep tending to your own light work, your business, your light work, your light leadership. It is a personal development program and it can. And you are meant to grow through it and bring others with you. You are meant to walk through the grocery store and touch the hearts and lives of people who are 6 feet from you because you're so lit up, because you're so turned on. And that's what we do. All right, the next one. Oh my gosh, I wish someone would have told me, and I learned this. You don't need to do your business and you don't need to do your light leadership at the expense of yourself. This goes back to I am sourced, I fill my tank, and I don't need to do or set up a business or a profession at the expense of myself. And there's a lot of layers to this, but this is a manifestation, right? When we create a business that is at the expense of yourself, we've got a problem. So there were times in my early years where my business ran me. And it is also an extension of me. But there were times, I can name it, 2014, 15, even 16, there were times when my business was literally at the expense of me at times. And I needed to learn the boundaries, the energetic, spiritual boundaries, seen and unseen boundaries. I needed to set that up correctly so that I could do this work without having lost myself, without losing myself. I kind of kid around and talk about light worker burnout because it's real. Because it's real. Because we're constantly running and not doing business. Sourced. So this goes beyond financially sourced. This is emotionally sourced. This is holy smokes. I need a team. I need to be emotionally sourced and I need to set up my business, which is meant to make money, by the way. Your light is meant to lead, your business is meant to make money. You have to set it up so it is not at the expense of you because any light work done at the expense of you isn't light work so much anymore, is it? I did learn that the hard way. This girl has drive, and sometimes that drive kept me going, but not always in the healthiest way. So there are things to straighten out. So I want to give you permission to look and say, is this any of this at the expense of myself? And if I put my toe in the water here, I don't have to build this at the expense of myself. This is a manifestation where this creation, this light work, this light leadership need not be at the expense of me, but it gets to fill me up from the inside out, not drain me. That's not what it's meant to do. Your codes are magic. They're not meant to drain you because you brought them to the world. They're meant to fuel you. So we have to plug you in correctly. All right. I wish somebody would have told me to stop downplaying my gifts because I downplayed my gifts. Holy smokes, for those of you that have been around me for a really long time, how many times have you heard me say, I am not psychic? I am not psychic. A lot of times. And what I know is I'm so ridiculously intuitive. I put a lid on that all the time. And I didn't also want to be responsible for seeing what I saw in a lot of things. So I am a conscious channel, 100%. sometimes an unconscious channel. And I am extremely, extremely empathic, ridiculously so. And when I allowed that, when I allowed myself to stop downplaying my gifts as a light worker, I got to fully step in. Not, it was kind of uncomfortable, but my teacher, Thomas Leonard, back in the day, he said, call yourself, you're not a coach yet, call yourself one. And so people would say, what do you do for a living? And I'd go, well, I'm a counselor, I'm a therapist, I'm a coach. They'd say, what's that? Is that a basketball coach, a cheerleading coach? I'm like, oh my God. No, I'm a life coach. So I used to call myself life coach back in the day. Now I just Lori. But seriously, he said, own it, step in. And I did start to practice that. And as I started to practice that, I yeah, as I started to practice that, I got like amazing in my acknowledgement of my light. I actually said to a therapist one day, a fellow therapist, they were like, so what do you do? I'm like, well, I'm a light worker. I do counseling on the side, right? I do counseling on the side. So don't downplay your gifts, get real with what they are, and start to own them. Because not owning them puts just delays your timeline. That's it. It starts to delay your timeline. I really want you to imagine for a minute what, and tell me in the chat, on live or on replay, tell me what your mission looks like, if you know. And if you don't know what it looks like, tell me what you think it feels like. Like, tell me what you've been called to. And I want you to imagine it like this. You're in full lighthouse mode. Full lighthouse mode is on. Switched on. Got a little switch right here on your hand. You just switch that lighthouse mode on. What would that look like? With or without your day job, doesn't matter to me. This is conscious creation. Just because you keep your day job doesn't mean you're creating an experience without one. It just means it's an unfolding, right? But what does that full-on lighthouse look like? Does it look like working with certain people? Does it look like sharing a certain message? Does it look like impacting the world in a certain way? Does it look like being in your own zone of sacred energy every single day? I mean, as a light leader, I start my day with myself. Every day, I start it with myself. I put myself in my little sanctuary wherever I am, in my house, in my walk. The day starts with me. And like that's where I begin my light work. It starts with me. So I want you to think about what that might look like. For me, I meet with my clients, I teach what's coming through, I download synchronicities, I tap into my guidance, I lead a very sync led, epiphany led, inner being connected life where I am literally in my connection saying, what's next? What do I need to share? What needs to come through? How does it need to come through me? There's a frequency here. So imagine not only the words that would flow out of you, but imagine like the frequency that you're holding as you walk through your life, as you walk through your work, as you have full lighthouse mode on. Like what is streaming from you? What is being received on the other side of the light that you bring? What codes do you have inside of you? So I want to have you just click into that vision for a moment because I don't want you to underestimate. I don't want you to underestimate your power to create your reality as it relates to your light leadership. Like your business, your light leadership, your impact is a manifestation that you allow. It is literally a manifestation. I mean, the things that I have manifested through my business as this experience blow my mind. And it isn't just, you know, business and money flow and clients and uh, a body of work or systems. It's literally my light work has impacted my own life and I've created because of it. Like I've healed myself because of it. I've gone through I've gone through some pretty hard times, as you guys know. I have a new last name in the last 5 years, right? I got remarried. I mean, there's a lot that goes into life. But I'm gonna say what has been manifested on the other side of my life because of my light work and because of the toolbox that and the codes that I bring to you, yes, but to me are profound. I mean, life manifested because of the codes that I brought. So whether you teach conscious creation or healing, or you bring whatever kind of like visionary change agent work you bring, we're here to ascend. We're here to grow each other. Light work, call it what you like. We're growers and we're here to grow each other. We are all change agents. And when you get really clear on the change that you're here to bring, they say be the change that you want to see in the world, right? But when you get clear that the change you're bringing actually changes you, holy cow, now we are really jamming on with our light work. We're really, really getting in what it means to be in sync with the law of one. But that's deeper teachings, right? That's the deeper activation. But I want you to imagine for a minute lighthouse mode on. How have you healed? How have you changed because you switched on your own light work? You got codes. If you're drawn to this work, if you're drawn to this conversation, you have codes. I am a person who got the code and didn't understand my own code for a long time. Now I got my code. It was an unfolding, and I was meant to teach the code. So I just want to like have you hold that vision for a minute because we're here to heal each other, but we're here to heal ourselves. And and you're nudged. And I want you to imagine that there is no nudge that ever happened to any of us without reason. No accidents. Nudges like this are not accidents. So, on that note, your divine mission is not earned. It is activated, allowed, and awakened. Please write that down. Your divine mission isn't earned. It is activated, allowed, and awakened. It is remembered, you guys. It's probably even the best way to say it. Your divine mission is remembered. But you got to crack it open. I mean, you just got to crack it open. You got to start. You got to begin. I did not know what I was doing. My frequency, me showing up, making the choice, being in that commitment, that opened the gates. I chose and I chose hard. It was a commitment like no other. It was drive. It was drive. But we need to access that drive. What does drive even come from, right? It's like drive comes from trusting the unfolding more than you even trust yourself sometimes. And I did. I did not always trust myself. I still don't always trust myself, and that's okay. It's part of the gig, it's part of the healing. Wounded healer is always on a healing journey, right? So, but when you trust your unfolding and you trust the divine guidance that you have, even more than you trust yourself, you can access drive. You can say, I'm going to show up to my light leadership and I'm going to step in like nobody's business. I'm going to pull up my bootstraps like nobody's business. So, next on the agenda, this is where I'm going to land tonight. I want you to stop despiritualizing action. This is one of the lessons in the 100 days. You know that little 100 days that I created in 2014 that still is going today? It's round 35. We're on round 35 of the Manifestation 100. And it still is such an anchor and such a foundational work for this work. But there is a lesson in there called this: don't despiritualize action. And so to be mission driven is to absolutely allow your unfolding, like we talked about, step into that trust place. But also, we have to act. Like I did not create today's call with you. I didn't tap, I didn't not take action. I took action. I got back on Zoom today. So we had a place to meet tonight. I had to take action on my idea. I had to take action. I have had to take action to evolve myself for the last 29 years. And the exact formula and the exact plan for my light leadership shows up every single time. My mind may not always agree with the plan, but I follow the plan anyway. Sometimes the plan doesn't make sense to me. And sometimes it makes such perfect sense that it blows my mind and I could have never thought of it myself. So as we're taking action, I want to invite you to open up your communication, your channel with your team, with your divine team. Because honestly, I have all of these things that I would have wished I would have known, that I learned along the way. But I think the most important to me is my connection. I have a business that has, for all practical purposes, been built on divine connection and divine nudges. And I lead at that level. I do. I activate codes. I make the shift. I shift my beliefs. I step into prosperity consciousness. I do future self work. And it's from here I lead. And I'm not always perfect, but we step into it anyway, like full on light worker, stepping into it anyway. Like I have a divine show up plan and I step into it anyway. So, so I want to invite you guys to be in some kind of movement with these little pieces tonight. What showed up as a nugget of permission for you? Because what I really want to do is give you permission to step up, step out, level up, shine bright, choose the divine mission because it's calling you, and trust every single nudge regarding your mission. Lean it, like it doesn't mean, like I said, doesn't mean quit your day job, but it does mean, how am I willing to lean in? I'm answering. I refuse to call, I refuse to ignore the call of source. I will not ignore the call of my inner being. I wonder what would happen if you did not ignore the call of your inner being, of your divine guidance. Where would you go next? What would that look like tomorrow if you stepped into it? Where would you head? So that is my question to you tonight, is where would you go next? Because if you're like me, they're knocking on your door at 1 o'clock in the morning saying, I got an idea. And if you're like me, you're on lap 2 of your walk, and they're like, incoming, download. It's time to get to business, light worker. It's time to get to business. All right. So let me see. I have one last thing that I want to share with you. It's actually really powerful, and I'm going to read it to you. And no, it's not the credo. But I had something really profound happen while I was prepping for this class. I was like, when did I get actually online? And so I went back and looked at some of the um, archives, so to speak, to see when I actually got online. I could actually see all the way back to like 2004. Um, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I clicked on this old website link. It was a quote that I had on my website that I want to share with you guys because it speaks directly to these money beliefs that we need to heal as light workers because it's just such a big block. But it's a quote by Randolph Price. He says this: "The time will come when you will satisfy a need for money by steadfastly depending on the master self within, and not on anything in the world of form until you do this. You will continue to experience the uncertainties of supply for the rest of your life. Every soul must learn these lessons, and until it does, it will be given an opportunity after opportunity in the form of apparent lack and limitation. You may be experiencing such a challenge right at this moment. Realize that this challenge is the opportunity you've been waiting for to demonstrate the truth of your birthright." I mean, feel into that. There's an opportunity that you've been waiting for to demonstrate the truth of your birthright. Today, I actually wrote it down word for word, but I want you to really land on these words. And he said this. So if you were watching on replay, you can replay it, but it's this: you will be given the opportunity in the form of apparent lack and limitation. So, like all the work that we do here is on the apparent lack, right? This is all apparent lack. This is all apparent scarcity. But it is our divine right. It is our divine space to come in and heal this within ourselves. And as we do, oh my gosh, the light really starts pouring through you in a completely different way. So I want to give you that little piece before we go today because I want to have you really look at like, what is holding me back? Let me stand in my vision of my light work. So, so if you get a moment, if you get a moment, what am I even saying? I want to hear your vision. So if you get a moment, please craft your light work of vision for me in the space below. Lori says in her playful accent. So let me know if this is helpful. But I want to know, like, who do you want to become? What does your light look like? And what's calling you forth? Okay. So I hope this was helpful, you guys. I will see you next time. You have a wonderful rest of your day. I will talk to you very soon, and I hope this is helpful. And if you're watching me on replay, let me know. All right. Bye for now.